Hi everyone, in this video we are going to make a nav bar in which we'll have a drop down. So this is what we are going to make in this video. So this is a completely responsive navigation bar. So if I shrink down the page, you can see this is completely responsive. So let's build this navigation section. So here I've opened a VS Code in which I've created two files, index.html which will contain the markup of the page and style.css file which will contain the styling. So in the index.html, let's add the boilerplate HTML5 structure. Here I'll write responsive navigation, and then I'm going to link the style sheet. So write link style.css. After this, let's add Google font which is called Poppins. So this one, click here, click on get family, get embed code. Now I'm going to just copy this first link and paste it before this style.css file. Then let's write the markup of the page. So first, the entire page will be wrapped inside a header tag. This header tag will contain the background image, and then we'll have the navigation bar which is going to go inside this nav tag. This is HTML5 semantic tag. Then inside this nav, I'll create a logo first, which will be a link. So here I'll write logo, and then I'm going to create a UL, unordered list, which will contain the link of the navigation bar. So to create a drop down menu, what we have to do is we have to create a nested unordered list, which I'm going to show you how. So I'll write UL li. Inside this, I'll have a tag. First will be home, and then I'm going to create a nested UL inside this parent UL. So let's give this parent UL a class called main UL. I'm using BEM convention. Then I'm going to write li. Now inside this li we'll have a anchor tag, and here I'll write drop down. And then I'm going to add a little symbol, a little pointer, which will show an arrow pointing downwards. So I'll create a span, and inside this I'm going to add that down arrow. So for this I'll be using emojis. So if you are in Mac, you can press Ctrl, Command and Space to activate the emojis icons. Here let's scroll. So this is the icon that we are going to use. Click here, so it will be inserted. Now inside this li, we'll create a nested UL, which will be the drop down. So I'll give it a class called drop down. Now we'll have the drop down items, so which will be li a. Let's for convenience write item 1, and I'm going to duplicate this 3 times. Now this li, this nested li is completed. Now I'll come outside of this and I'll create the remaining anchor tags. This will be about us and li, and this will be contact. So this is the markup of the page. Now let's see how it's look like. So right click and open with the live server. So this is how it looks like right now. Now let's style it. Go to style.css file. In here, first I'm going to use the universal selector to add some reset. So I'll write margin 0, padding 0, box sizing will be border box, text decoration for the links. To remove the underline, I'll write text decoration none, and I'll specify a font family which is Poppins, and the fallback will be sans serif, and I'll set the color of the text to white. Then I'm going to target the header, which will contain the background image. So first let's give it a height of 100 VH, viewport height. width will be 100%. Background image, I'm going to use bg.png. Background size will be cover, and background position will be center. Let's see. So this is a background. Now let's create a h1 outside this header, and here I'm going to write navbar example2. Let's style this header first, h1. I'll give it a position absolute. I want to center it, so I'll write position absolute. I'll give it top 50%. From top it will move down 50%, from left it will move down 50%, and I'll write transform translate minus 50%, minus 50%. So why I'm doing this, let me explain you first. Let's give it a border 2 pixels solid red. First I'm going to comment this. So here, as you can see, the origin from where the element is moved is this one. So if I do transform translate y minus 50%, so it will move up, and if I do transform translate x minus 50%, it will move toward the center. So to combine these two, I'm writing this one. So this is the logic behind that. Remove it, and then I'll write font size will be 4 rem 64 pixel. Background color will be hash f36063, and I'm going to add some padding. All round padding will be 8 pixel, and I'll write white space to no wrap. So let's see. So this is our h1 tag. Now let's work on the main navigation. So write main navigation. Here first I'm going to target the nav tag. I'll set a background color to hash f36063, this one. So we have added the color. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the display property of this nav element to flex. So if you look here, this nav element contains two child element. This is the first child element, and this ul is the second child element. So if I set the display property to flex, these two child elements will be horizontally aligned. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to push this links to the right, and also I'm going to set the logo. So for this you just have to write single line justify content space around. So we have horizontally aligned the items inside the nav tag. So now let's vertically align this logo. So for this I'll write align items to center. So now this logo is vertically aligned. So this is what we have to do for this nav tag. So now let's work on the logo first. So I'll write font size 2 rem, font weight will be bold. So let's see. So I have not given a logo class, so I'll write class is logo. What is happening? This should be inside this quotes. So this is the logo. Now I'm going to remove these bullet points. So I'm going to target the main UL and also I'm going to target the drop down. I'll write list style will be none, and font weight will be 600. So the bullet points are removed. Now what I've done with this nav tag is I set the display property to flex. Likewise, this UL, this main UL, I'm going to set the display property to flex. So all the elements inside this will be horizontally aligned. But before that, let's work on this span, this icon, to make it small. So I'll write span, font size will be 8 pixel. Now our real code starts. Now let's add the display flex property to the main UL, this main UL class. So I'll write display flex. So these are now horizontally aligned. And then I'm going to specify a gap of 16 pixel. So you'll have some spacing. After this, I'm going to target each of the A tags inside the main UL. So I'll write main UL LIA. I'll set the display property to block, and I'll give it a padding, top and bottom 24 pixel, right and left 16 pixel. And then I'll set a hover effect. So I'll write main UL LIA hover. Background will be #FC8077. Let's see. So this is the background effect. So now let's work on this drop down element. So what I'm going to do is I'll set a position relative to this list item, which is inside the parent tag, this main tag, and then I'm going to set a position property absolute to this drop down class and position it relative to this list item. So let's write, I'll write main ULLI. I'll set a position to relative because I want to adjust the position of the display based on this LI element. And then I'll target the main drop down class. I'll first set a width to 100%. Now set the position to absolute, and background color will be #FC8077. Let's write text align center. This will move the item to the center. So now let's understand the logic, the final part. I'm going to hide this, and when the user hover over this drop down link, I'm going to show this. So this is the logic behind drop down menu. So here I'll write display none, so it's going to be hidden. Now when I hover around this, I want to show the drop down items. So I'll write main UL LI hover, and then what I want to do, I want to target the drop down, and I'll set the display to block. So this means when I hover over the LI element of the main UL, so this is the main UL and these are the LI elements of it, 1 2 3 4. So when I hover over the LI element of the main UL, I want this drop down class to be targeted and to set the display property to block. So let's do. Now when I hover over this, the drop down class is displayed as a block. That's why we can see it. So this is how we create a drop down menu. And next I'm going to add a hover effect on these items. So I'll write drop down LIA hover. The background will be #F07168. So this is the effect that we have added. So this is the desktop version of the navigation bar. Now let's work on the mobile version. So I'll write media queries, media only screen, and max width 500 pixel. So when the screen size is below 500 pixels, this media query will activate. So let's first shrink this. So what I'm going to do is I'll target the nav element and the main UL, and I'll just do this flex direction to column. So this property will change the default direction, which is horizontal, to vertical. So all the elements inside the parent, which has a display flex property, will be aligned vertically. And then I'll set a width to 100%. And now let's work on the drop down. I'll reset the position to relative. And finally, just for this tutorial purpose, I'm going to remove this H1. So I'll write H1, display will be none. So when the screen is 500 pixel and less, H1 is not going to display. So this is how a navigation will look like in a mobile version. So this is the desktop version, and we also have created the mobile version. So this is about it. So I hope you like this video, and if you do, please subscribe to my channel and also like this video. I will see you later.